Thank you and welcome. So we're going to go ahead with the land acknowledgement. Oki, welcome to our division office located on the traditional land and territory of the Niitsitapi, Piikani, Kainai, and Siksika, the Blackfoot people, within the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. I'll now have everyone stand for O Canada. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to move on to our consent agenda and the recommendation that the November 23rd, 2021 consent agenda be approved by the Board of Trustees as presented or amended. Is there anyone who needs to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Professional learning.
Thank you. We will pull out the professional learning from the consent agenda and move it on to our regular agenda. Thank you.
Doesn't this one do mine?
Nope. Perfect. And can I get someone to, if there's no other conversation, can I get someone to approve or make that motion? Thanks, Trustee Hodges. We should have made the motion before. Anyways, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, now we'll have emergent changes to the agenda. Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, where are we going to put the PDs in the agenda?
It is going to be E4. Thank you. Okay. And then I would ask if there's any emergent changes. I just need to put the motion on the floor. So the recommendation that the November 23rd, 2021 regular board meeting agenda be approved by the Board of Trustees as presented or amended. Can I get someone to make that motion? Trustee Long. Okay, and is there any emergent changes? Trustee Long?
This is working, yep. A recommendation, community as a classroom, school as a base camp, be changed from a standing committee to a representative committee with one trustee from each ward sitting on this committee.
Perfect. Thank you, Trustee Long. We'll put that as E5. Is there anyone else who would like to make any emergent changes? I would like to add the committees of the board be accepted with the changes that have been listed. So we'll make that E6. Okay, and any other emergent changes? Okay, I will also make an emergent changes about external committees, which will be E7, appointment of external committees. Okay, perfect. Is there any other conversation or emergent changes that need to be brought forward? No? Oh, yeah. Trustee
Point
Davis.
of information, Madam Chair. Wasn't the professional learning also the external committees? Didn't we put those together?
They are going to be together, but those changes haven't been made in policy yet. So I wondered if they needed to be two separate ones.
I don't know.
I think it will be two separate motions.
Okay.
So we'll have them as E4 and E7 to be two separate motions that can come forward.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trustee Yagos. Okay. So once more, the recommendation is that the November 23rd, 2021 regular board meeting agenda be approved by the Board of Trustees as amended. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, moving on, declaration of conflict of interest. The recommendation that the Board of Trustees declare if they have any conflict of interest relating to agenda items from the November 23rd, 2021 board meeting, and if so, they should declare them now. No? Thank you. Okay, we will move on to our E1 action item, which is the IMR results and planning. One of our school jurisdiction's highest priorities regarding the school facilities is to ensure the health, safety, and essential upgrading needs, including emergent projects, are completed as required. IMR funding is provided to meet the needs and eliminate deferred maintenance. IMR funding is only provided for the government-owned facilities and is not provided for privately owned buildings. To deal with emergent projects as they arise, school jurisdictions should consider setting aside contingency funding. IMR funding may be spent only for approved purposes. Jurisdictions may use the funds to ensure school facilities meet all regulatory requirements, particularly as they pertain to providing a safe and healthy learning environment. Preserve and improve the quality of the learning environment by replacing building components that have failed, prolonging the life of a facility through planned, proactive replacement of major components, and upgrading of the educational areas to meet program requirements. Meet the facility requirements of students with special needs, and replace or upgrade building components to improve energy conservation and efficiency, and to achieve cost savings as a result. The report was prepared by Greg Gorzitas, coordinator of facilities. The report shows what was planned and completed in the 2020-21 school year, and then provides a plan for the 2021-2022 school year. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the 2021-2022 infrastructure maintenance and renewal expenditure plan as presented. So we'll turn the time over to you two gentlemen. Oh,
Madam Chair, did somebody make that motion?
they did not, but
I would
would
be
you
willing
like
to
to?
make that. Thank
Thank you. So that motion is made by Trustee Toon, and we will now turn it over.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just make a few comments in regards to the document. If Greg has anything he'd like to add, then he can do that, and then Greg is here to answer any questions that might arise from the discussion. So I appreciate that you read the intro. I apologize, that's a long intro, but it's a good summary of what IMR represents and what it's for. And IMR is a significant funding element that allows us to do some larger projects within the jurisdiction as far as maintain our schools in a proactive approach. And so although we have a plan at the beginning of the year and it's approved by the board, sometimes the plan has to be altered based on things that come up that need to be addressed, or items that may not get done because we don't have the ability to do them, or they're no longer a priority. And so you'll see in this document that there's some things that dollars were not expended on. They're either carried forward to the next plan or identified that they're not necessarily a priority over other things that have come up in the plan. And so I think that's just an important note with regards to when you're looking at this document and reading into this document. So there's two reports that we provide. One is the results from the prior year, and I'll just explain how that document works a little bit. Where there's dollar amounts beside the project, those are the funds that have been expended in that area. The orange highlights are actually capitalized items, and so they're items that we capitalize just due to the reason that they It's a requirement for us to expend, at least in this report, it was a requirement for us to expend a certain percentage of the IMR dollars on capital projects. And so we've identified what those capital projects are, what has been capitalized, and what we amortize over time. Since this document, the government has adjusted the programs and separated them from IMR and CMR, right? We've talked about CMR in the past, and there was a certain amount of money, I think it was about $2.2 million that we received to do certain projects. Those projects are completed and done, and we've submitted a final cost report. Going forward, every budget we receive CMR dollars and we receive IMR dollars, and they've basically taken the IMR dollars and split them in half and allocated some to CMR and some to IMR. So going forward, that'll look a little different. The CMR items we have to get approved, and we've already shared those items with the board, and they're ongoing. Many of the projects that are on that CMR list are too expensive to even, we don't get enough funds from the CMR. I think we get just over 600,000 for CMR, and so it's limited in what we can do. So most of the CMR dollars are being expended on the projects that were approved over a year ago, and are on lighting projects within some of our schools, converting them to LED. Those are not found on this document. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. These are specifically IMR dollars that we had left over from prior years, the new allocation that we get for IMR, and what we've expended in those areas. And so Greg can speak to the details. I'll just identify that our plan from last year was to spend $2.29 million and some change. Greg spent, I shouldn't say Greg, his team expended just over $2 million, so just slightly below what the original budget was. And so I thought that was pretty good note to identify that we're very close to what the budget was, although some of those projects may have changed. The highlighted blue areas are items that were on the previous CMR report, where there wasn't sufficient dollars in the CMR that had to be used in IMR. Some of those dollars had to be used in IMR, so that's why they're on here. Okay, so Greg, is there anything you wanted to?
This is our plan, so going forward for the next year, some of these on that new list are carried over from, like Jeff said, till this year, just because we didn't finish some of the projects and they're just in the process, so still working towards some of those dollars that were left over to spend. So, but them numbers are included in Jeff's new numbers, so we should be good.
Just one other note, on the plan, the 2021-22 plan, we've anticipated a spending of just under $1.6 million, so $1.588 million, which will leave just over $1 million as a contingency for items that may come up or of an emergent nature. Trustee Chair Poitras, when she read in the original documentation, talked about maintaining a contingency to be able to deal with emergent items. We anticipate that $1 million is sufficient in that area for that. So we'll just turn it over to you now if you'd like to ask any questions in particular with regards to some of the projects that occurred as far as the results from the prior year, or whether it be in regards to the plan going forward.
Thank you for the presentation and for all the hard work that's gone into this. I know it can be difficult prioritizing. Is there any questions from the trustees? Okay. Okay. Trustee Tim?
No, thank you. You answered the question that I have about how we did with stuff from our previous IMR approval, and I loved the carryover annotation there on the form. It makes it really easy to see the ones that are still in progress, but just want to give a huge kudos to Greg and your staff for being able to stay so close to the budget and get so many projects done. I know it was a lot more challenging this past year, getting supplies on things and work to get done because of all the external forces happening, and I just want to say thank you so much for the amazing job you do maintaining our schools. They're beautiful and so well kept up, and it's due to the hard work and dedication of yourself and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Trustee Toon. Did you want to add something? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't like to talk, but it seems like I do a lot of it. But one other thing I wanted to note on here is that through our new consortium for insurance, we have a risk management component of that. And so they come forward with items that they strongly encourage us to address to be better risk managers and therefore decrease the premiums that we pay in insurance. And so because that's one of the huge components of our insurance consortium is we've allocated IMR dollars to some of those projects. And so at the very bottom of the results document, so the first document, you'll see flow meters. Flow meters are, well, Greg could probably talk to them better than I, but are technology that is placed on pipes under the buildings to measure when there's a lack of flow.
Increased flow of the systems if there's a leak downstream or toilet bus open or water line breaks, frozen lines, that kind of thing. So it shows an excess flow through the meter and sends out a message to who's ever on the contact list and lets us know that there could be an issue.
This comes as a result of one of the schools in Alberta having like a break or a flow and causing significant damage. With these flow meters, we're alerted in a timely manner to be able to address the issue way in advance of any major damage being experienced. And so those are the types of things. We also use the IMR dollars for those types of things, and just wanted to bring that to your attention. So.
Thank you. Trustee Hodges?
I've seen a lot of the schools, they have that fire alarm mapping. Does that have to do with the insurance piece too, or what exactly is that?
It's more of a safety thing. It's maps that they're going to display at entranceways. It shows where the power shutoffs and all the detectors are, exit routes, different zones where the fire alarm goes off, that type of thing. So it's more of a safety component of every school.
Thank you so much. Any other, Trustee Long?
Greg, I see, when I'm reading along there where it's talking about parking lot and exterior lighting, front door lighting, so on. Are there regulations that revolve around how much lighting for, say, a parking lot and the front of our school and or a building is supposed to have? Or is it just something that we work on ourselves, make the decision?
It's no requirement. Some schools, divisions leave their areas dark. They figure there's less activity, but we try to light ours up because visuals and our cameras work better under lighting conditions. So I don't think there's a requirement. I know we get complaints that it's too bright sometimes, but we're working on controls and stuff to dampen them down and that kind of thing. So there is systems out there that can do that. And I know there was one at Horace Allen that
So
was a big complaint.
there's either not enough light or it's too bright.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Thank you for your questions. Is there any other questions from trustees at this time? Okay, thank you. Did you want to speak? Nope, okay. Thank you so much, yep.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for coming and
Take care.
we appreciate all the work you do. Thank you. Okay, so we will now move on to E2. COVID-19.
Point of order, Madam Chair. We need to pass the resolution.
Oh, sure, if you guys want to. So, sorry about that. So then the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve that the 2020-2022 infrastructure maintenance and renewal expenditure plan as presented. All in favor? Thank you, and thank you for a point of order, Trustee Toon. Now we'll move on to E2, which is COVID-19 vaccination status and testing for harm reduction. Arising from the unfortunate increasing strain that the COVID-19 pandemic is placing on our education and healthcare system, and the recent letter to all school divisions from the Ministers of Health and Education encouraging mandatory proof of vaccine or negative test policies. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees direct administration to develop a COVID-19 vaccination status and testing for harm reduction, not applicable to students, recommendation, and implementation plan to be presented to the board. This plan should take into account reasonable timelines, time spent with students, and the requirement of vaccination status disclosure, or for those not fully vaccinated, regular proof of a COVID-19 negative test. This is being moved by Trustee Yagos. Trustee Yagos, I will let you speak to it. If first, I'd like to recuse myself as chair. Mr. Perry, would you be okay chairing this E2? Yeah, is there anyone else who would like to chair this conversation? If you chair the conversation, then you cannot be a part of the conversation. No? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Trustee Perry. Mr. Perry.
You bet. Okay. So is there, Trustee Yegus already made that motion? And would
Yes,
you
the
like to
motion
speak?
has been made, and I would like some rationale to be said by the superintendent, Mr. Sequin, then, and then first, thank you.
Mr. Sequin?
So, this is something obviously, you know, that we've been dealing with for the last couple of years and has impacted our ability to operate in the school. Students going into last year have certainly been in class and learning in person, and then at times learning online. And we know that the present state in Alberta, those 12 and older are eligible for the vaccines. However, we have many students who are still in that 5 to 11 age group who are ineligible for the vaccines. We have had a number of cases in our school division since the beginning of this year, both in students and in staff. And so many school divisions, especially after the joint ministers of health and education writing a letter to school jurisdictions on October 5th, which all of you have received, strongly encouraging school divisions to have policies or procedures in place such as this. So that's why this is coming before the board today.
Trustee Yegus, would you like to speak to the motion then?
Yes, I feel that because this is more of an administrative matter, although the board, of course, has to pass it, I feel there should be a procedure, and so that they could put it together and then bring it forward to us to approve.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? Trustee Poitras.
I'll start. Obviously, I want to speak to it since I recused myself as chair. This has been a really difficult decision that the government has handed down to school boards to make a decision that regards medical information, personal medical information. We're discussing people's jobs and the safety of students and parents and teachers, administrators. And we've gotten a lot of really passionate emails and letters, phone calls, and it's difficult as we are not medical experts to discuss how and when and where and all these different areas around proof of vaccination status or testing for harm reduction. And it's a really difficult position that we've been put in. I really appreciate that we were able to receive information on what has happened in other jurisdictions, things that have been successful for them, things that haven't been successful for them, and information from our lawyers in what is the most fiscal responsibility As trustees, one of our main jobs is to do what is fiscally best for our division. And sometimes that can be hard to make those decisions when there's a lot of other things at play. So we've received a lot of really good information, and I appreciate all that information that has come forward. But this has been a really difficult conversation to have.
Thank you, Trustee Poitras. Is there any other discussion? Trustee Long.
I guess it's a question. Do we need to have a time, an end date on this, when the recommendation will be presented?
Are you suggesting an amendment, or are you looking for direction from the rest of the board?
I would suggest an amendment if I had some direction as to time that's needed.
Trustee Poitras.
I think that we all know that this is not something we want to rush. We've been taking our time, making sure we're getting all the information. It's a busy time in education and for our administrators, and I know that they will be working on this as quickly as possible. But I would hesitate to put a time limit on it, and then have them bring us a recommendation that they aren't fully confident in because they are still waiting on one piece of legal information or one piece that might need to, bump it back to a different meeting.
Trustee Yegus and then Trustee Long.
On this, I would like to say that we have been looking at this and looking at discussing aspects of it, all aspects, and we have got a lot of information from various sides, from both the public and from what the administration, what other groups have done, what other boards have done, from the Alberta Health and other organizations. I don't know how much time, which is a question I would like to ask the administration before we put something. How much time would you need to put this together? Could you have something done by the next board meeting in December so that we could pass this and get this, move on from this?
Trustee
Yes.
Sequin. Yep.
Yep, sure. Yeah, certainly by, I think the next board meeting is December 14th. And certainly by that time, I could have everything together in a presentation for you.
Trustee Long.
Will you allow me to make an amendment then?
Yeah, put forward your amendment and
That the Board of Trustees direct administration to develop a COVID-19 vaccination status and testing for harm reduction not applicable to students, recommendation implementation plan to be presented to the board on December 14th, 2021.
okay. Trustee Yegus, do you see that as a friendly?
I consider that a friendly amendment, and also I would like to say as board meeting December 14th, so that we know it's just, okay?
Yep, so I think we have the intent of that amendment. It's considered a friendly. Is anybody opposed to it being a friendly amendment? If not, we'll go ahead, Brad. Or sorry, Trustee Toon.
Thank you. For the rationale that's already been said, I'd be against the amendment and not considering it friendly. I know that our superintendent has said that he's agreeable to the timeline, but with any thing we've known lately, there's many external things going on, and I would not want to put us in a spot where, as our chair has spoken about, that we're putting them in a difficult situation. There's no reason why this couldn't come to January if that's necessary, but knowing that it's under the timeline that's unreasonable, I think is more important than trying to shoehorn this into a specific dated motion.
Okay, just a moment, Trustee Long. So we will consider that amendment to be voted upon by the board, given the discussion that we've had on it. And so at this point, Trustee Toon has spoken to that. Trustee Long, do you want to speak more to that? And then we'll open it up to the rest of the board.
I can respond.
You bet.
I think we've left our students, our staff, and our parents, stakeholders in limbo long enough. And I think we need to put a date on this so that everybody involved in Livingston School Division is no longer anticipating or wondering when we're going to make a decision or when something's going to happen.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Long. Does anybody else would like to discuss the matter? Yeah, Trustee Gimber.
I agree with Trustee Toon that we shouldn't be putting a strict date on it. This situation, this environment is rapidly changing. Things could change very easily in the next month. I think we're putting an unrealistic expectation on our admin if we are setting a specific date.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Gimber. Trustee Yegas.
We have done a lot of discussion on this, and the central office, they have agreed that the 14th, December 14th would not be difficult to them to bring forward administrative procedure on this. And I do think that we are going to have to come to some decision. If we don't make a decision, it's just like, how long do we leave it? And we're just hoping that this is all going to go away, which it's not going to go away. So I think we should come to a decision. It is an admin procedure. It can be changed. Doesn't have to be, at any time. We can make any changes to it that we want to. This isn't something written in stone or anything else. So if we tell them that it has to be done by, with everything, remember, we're only asking them to bring this back to us on the 14th, and then we decide whether we want that or not. But I think we have to move forward. We just can't keep saying nothing about it and doing nothing about it.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Yegas. Trustee Poitras.
I absolutely agree that we need to continue the discussion, but we have not been doing nothing about it. We have not been saying nothing about it. We have been doing our due diligence. We have not left our students and our staff in limbo. Our schools are safe places. We are wearing masks. We are following the guidelines. Our students and staff are coming every day and are being educated, and they're not in limbo. They are working under conditions that they feel comfortable working under. They are there, they are working, our students are learning, and our division is thriving. We have over 120 new students in our division, and it's going very well. We are doing our due diligence, and our staff and our students and our parents know that we are here having the difficult discussions and looking at all the information to ensure that we do what's best for all staff, all student, every day. And so to say that we are doing nothing is so far off of base that I really think if administration feels comfortable bringing back on December 14th, I think that's wonderful, and we can add it to the board agenda at that time if that's what they choose to do and they feel prepared. I do not think that they should have to do it because we have mandated that in our recommendation or our motion. Anything could happen. Tomorrow we could go into online learning for 2 months. We have no idea. It's so fluid as the word has been kind of hand in hand with COVID. So I agree that it's not a friendly amendment. If admin is ready to bring it forward on the 14th, I think that's wonderful. And if they are not, then I'm comfortable with that also.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Poitras. Is there any other comments before we give? Yeah, Trustee Hodges.
I'm going to agree with Trustee Poitras. I also think that it's important to make sure that everything is done to due diligence. And again, if, like Trustee Poitras said, if administration feels they're ready to deliver it to us in December with the recommendations, then we can make our decision and move forward from there. If not, then we will address this again in January. So I want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with it and that we are doing it right by everybody.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Hodges. Just let me ask for any other comments, and then I'll let you close, Trustee Long. Is that good? Any final comments before we give Trustee Long the opportunity to close the Trustee Yegas?
I should be closing as I,
Oh, sorry. No,
That-
no, we're on the amendment right now.
pardon?
We're on the amendment right now.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
he moved the
Yeah,
amendment.
I'm sorry, I forgot that. Okay, I'd just like to say, when I talked about doing nothing, I meant as a board, we have got the information and everything, but I think we need to move forward with telling the public what we want or what we're interested in doing. This isn't mandating this to the division, to the central office. This is just giving central office the encouragement to bring something forward so that, that we could discuss it at the December 14th meeting. And if we want to reject it at that point, we can. But they're bringing something forward, it's in the books, it's before the public, rather than just waiting. And that's what I meant, doing nothing with. We talk about it, but we don't bring anything to the public. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Yegas. Okay, final call. Okay, Trustee Long, will you close on the amendment?
Just a point of clarification. Neither Trustee Yegas or myself said that we were doing nothing and that we have been doing nothing. That was never said. So I just want to make that clear. And I'll withdraw my friendly amendment.
I think the amendment's on the table. We should probably vote on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say in a point of order that we call a question on the amendment and vote.
We will. So Trustee Long has closed on the amendment. The amendment is that we add a timeline to the original motion, that being December 14th, 2021 regular board meeting as the time that administration would bring back the matter. So if you're in favor of that, you're voting for the amended timeline. If you're not in favor, then you're not adding that timeline. So I will call the question. All those in favor of the amendment as presented? Okay, it is defeated. We're back to the original motion. The original motion is on the, we won't read it again, but it's on the screen. You can see that. Trustee Yegas has moved this motion, so I will open it up for discussion once again. Is there any discussion on this matter? Okay, we'll go with Trustee Hodges. She was just a split second faster than Trustee Poitras.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how I wanted to word. I just, this is hard. It's really hard, and I really appreciate administration, us being able to direct administration to come back with a plan for us to look at and see where that will go. So I just, this has probably been one of the hardest conversations we've ever had to have, and so I look forward to seeing the plan presented to us from administration and to move forward with this. And so I just want to say thanks to administration for doing that and working with us on this.
Thank you, Trustee Hodges. Trustee Poitras.
Thank you. So this is a difficult motion to vote on. I really need to keep in mind that, and all trustees keep in mind that this is, we're asking administration to bring back a recommendation of what this could look like and what implementation might look like. And I really appreciate the wording that says that this plan will take into account reasonable timelines, time spent with students, and the requirement of vaccine status disclosure, and for those not fully vaccinated, regular proof of COVID-19 negative testing. We value and appreciate every single person who works in our division, whether they're in schools, whether they're driving buses, anyone in our division. And we don't want to lose any of those people. They are all a part of our community, and I appreciate that this wording of this motion really urges administration, which I know that they would do even if it wasn't so specific, to do everything in their power to bring back a recommendation that is as encompassing as possible to maintain our divisional family and all the staff that we have and the students that we have. So I appreciate the motion and the wording of it, and that administration will keep that in mind as they move forward with their recommendation.
Thank you, Trustee Poitras. Trustee Toon.
Thank you. I also echo what Trustee Poitras said about the work of administration. I've really appreciated all the feedback that we've received on this from concerned parents and stakeholders, and my heart just goes out to our staff for all that they've done. Our superintendent, our admin, our principals, our teachers, everybody has gone above and beyond the last year and a half, 2 years with everything that's been happening. But I can't sit here and be silent. I know as a board we've done amazing work and had great discussions over this over the last month or two, and especially since the new board came into place. But when we speak to our MLA, when we speak to the education minister, this is not our sandbox. This is not respecting local autonomy. This isn't something that should have been put on our plate, and their dereliction of duty to download it onto us, I don't think justifies everything that they're willing us to do. Our staff and admin are totally overtasked with everything that's been going on. For the amount of hours that have had to been dedicated to this, and the cost of legal for 61 school divisions across the province to consult legal on this, as opposed to the health minister making a decision on this, I am appalled that they talk about cutting red tape, and this is the epitome of red tape. I think we need to continue to speak up against this, what they're doing, because if they've done it now, they'll do it again to us in the future. And I think that I appreciate all the work Edmund has done, and the colleagues that are here listening to the community members, because we are, I think, always trying to do what's best for our staff and our students.
Thank you, Trustee Toon. Is there any other comments? Discussion? Okay, if not, we will call the question.
I'd like to make
Oh.
closing.
I apologize. Yes, Trustee Yegas, would you make closing remarks?
Yeah, and once again, I really agree with the rest of the trustees who talked about the amount of work that has been put into this, the amount we have discussed it. I think when we're looking at this, I too really feel that the government has put something on us that should not be on us, but they have. And I think we should, for the sake of our students and our staff, do something with this. So I really feel that what the central office has come up with, and I know they're going to be, when they look at a procedure, they're going to look at a very fair and just, and as much as trying to take everybody's ideas into consideration for us to look at.
Thank you, Trustee Yegas. Okay, we just closed.
Point of order, I just asked for a recorded vote.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
We'll have a recorded vote. So I will call the question. Those in favor of the motion, and I will read the motion this time, that the Board of Trustees direct administration to develop a COVID-19 vaccination status and testing for harm reduction not applicable to students, recommendation and implementation plan to be presented to the board. This plan should take into account reasonable timelines, time spent with students, and the requirement of vaccination status disclosure, or for those not fully vaccinated, regular proof of a COVID-19 negative test. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? That motion has passed. I will turn the chair back over to Trustee Poitras.
Thank you. Okay, we will now move on to E3, Regional School Council Funding. Trustee Gimber, Regional School Council Vice Chair, will discuss funding for the Regional School Council, and the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the cost of the ASCA presentation for the first Regional School Council meeting. And that will be moved by Trustee Gimber.
Yes, please. The Regional School Council Committee, in conjunction with Asca, so the Alberta School Councils Association, have scheduled a workshop on Thursday, November 25th. Pardon me. This is for our division school councils, trustees, parents to attend. The topic is school council and the trustee relationship. The cost is $500, and we're seeking approval for this expenditure, please.
Thank you, Trustee Gimber. Is there any questions around this? Yes, Trustee Hodges?
I just wondered what it was around, like what they're going to be presenting and who's all going to be at this. I heard a little bit of a discussion that parents were invited to this too, or is it just school council chairs, principals? So that's kind of, there's two questions there, sorry.
So the original invitation to the workshop was extended to school councils, and then the individual school councils decided whether they would extend the invitation to parents. So my understanding is there are some parents who have been invited to it. There's no limit on the number of people that can attend, and that's it. Oh, and it is about how school council and the trustee relationship work together. That's all I know.
Thank you, Trustee Gimber. Is there any other questions? Perfect. Okay, so the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the cost of the ASCA presentation for the first Regional School Council meeting. Moved by Trustee Gimber. All in favor? Perfect, that's passed. Thank you. Okay, we will now move on to E4, which is our professional learning. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the following trustees to attend the following professional development. So we have Trustee Toon. Yes, Trustee Toon is asking to go to the Alberta Educational Rural Symposium. It's March 6th to the 8th of 2022. Go ahead, Trustee Toon.
Yes, I believe all trustees are seeking approval for this, as Nikki has listed there. This is a wonderful event. It's one of the only things in the province that is focused strictly on rural education. And it's great. Look forward to having our new trustees join in on this in March.
Perfect, thank you so much. I believe all trustees are seeking approval for this as well. And Trustee Long said that he will also be seeking approval. Perfect, and then Trustee Gimber, will you go over what you're seeking approval for, please?
Yes, thank you. I am seeking approval for an upcoming, sorry, it's up there, an upcoming Asca member engagement session. It's 3 hours long, and we've been asked to have somebody from our board attend. So I have put my name forward and like to attend that if anybody else wants to. The cost is $25, but one person is covered, so that's for that one. And then the other three that I have listed there, I have already attended, but I'm going to seek approval. The one was Soaring with Knowledge. That is from the Indigenous Education Specialist Council Conference, as well as Unleashing Creativity and a Bow River presentation that I felt falls into the rural element of my position.
Thank you. Can I get someone to make this motion? Trustee Stankiewicz? Perfect. Okay. So thank you both for that. Is there anyone else seeking PD approval for any other? No? Okay, perfect. So, yeah, trustee Yagos?
I'm not seeking approval, but I would just like to remind trustee Gimber that the one that's with the ATA, the indigenous one, you'll have to contact that committee or that group. I'll talk to you after, but you have to contact and get permission from that group. Let's put it that way, okay?
Thank you, trustee Yagos, for helping her make those connections as a new board member. That's excellent. So if there's nothing more, I will call the question. All in favor of approving the presented PD? Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll now move on to E5, which is community as a classroom, school as a base camp. And the recommendation is that the Board of Trustee approve that the community as a classroom, school as a base camp committee be changed from a standing committee to a representative committee, and that one trustee from each ward sit on this committee. This is being moved by trustee Long, and I will turn it over to him.
This is a motion that we passed already, but it came to our attention that it shouldn't be a standing committee because we're just consultants, advisors, participants. It's not our committee. We don't facilitate it. So we need to change the wording to from standing committee to representative.
Thank you, trustee Long. Is there any other conversation around this? Trustee Yagos?
I was just going to add on, maybe you should say under policy 10.
Under policy 10.
Are you making an amendment? A friendly amendment? Okay, it's just clarity, right? Okay, perfect. Has it been changed that there is one trustee from each ward sitting on that committee already? It was approved last time? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so is there any other discussion around this? No? Okay, all in favor? Passed. Thank you. We'll move on to E6, committees of the board. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustee approve the changes to the 2021-2022 committees of the board listing as presented. We'll just find that in front of you here. Nope, no problem. These changes just came from reflecting upon a long and busy day and a few things that were passed that needed to be changed. A few different committee members and roles. So we'll just look over this quick. Can I get someone to make this motion? Okay, trustee Toon.
I can make the motion, Madam Chair.
Yep.
The one thing that I was seeing that wasn't included in there was changing the appeal and the discipline committee to all trustees as members as opposed to.
So we have tried to leave off the policy pieces
Oh, okay.
that will be made in policy and then brought
Perfect.
forward. And so just changing the roles and any members that needed to change. So you'll see on page 2 there as well. Yeah, just a few. We've added the main contact and
Perfect, thank you.
perfect. And just made sure that those 2 ad hoc committees have been added on properly. So is there any question or comments around this? Go ahead, trustee Long.
ASBA Rural Caucus. Yeah, there, never mind.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Hodges?
Sorry, I just have a question around the JT Foster modernization, because we have 3 members on there, and then with our board chairs ex officio, that would make 4. Is that still, or is that not something she's part of, the board chair is part of?
Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. Trustee Yegus, go ahead.
I think at the last meeting, we passed that they aren't going to be, that the board chair is not part of it. If I'm correct, at the minutes, didn't we?
I don't think we passed anything having to do with the JT Foster modernization.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just because like the JT Foster has 3 people on there, and if our board chair is ex officio, then that's 4, and we can't have that on one committee.
Thank you, Trustee Hodges and Trustee Yegus. So this JT Foster Modernization Ad Hoc Committee includes all members from the ward. Before our ward review, we had 2 trustees in that ward, and we now have 3 trustees in the ward, which now, with the ex officio of the chair, would give quorum. So is there any other discussion around this or changes that would like to be made? Go ahead, Trustee Long.
Yeah, it seems to me that all 3 of the trustees from that ward should be on that committee. So when the policy committee is looking at this and finalizing it, perhaps they could also look at our policy regarding 2 trustees per committee and alter that so that there could be 3 on this one. And I don't know how they would change the wording in that policy. Maybe they would deal directly with this one. But there should be all 3 of the trustees from the ward.
Thank you, Trustee Long. We'll go to Trustee Hodges.
Oh, sorry, did you want to? Okay, I think the only way we could make a change to that is if we just had a motion for the chair to not be part of this committee. But that would be up to the board, and so we'll have to, Trustee, I guess, do you want to, or?
No, it's Trustee Toon.
Okay, I wasn't sure if she had something on policy.
Yeah, I would recommend either we reduce it to 2 or remove the chair as ex officio, so we don't have that confusion there, because this isn't a huge workload piece. We don't need the extra trustee, but I understand everybody in the ward's gonna want to be involved, but there's just sometimes when that just isn't possible. It happened previously in our Fort McLeod ward because there was 3 trustees there previously, that not everyone can be involved with everything. And we're just a bunch of keeners. We all want to be there. So.
Thank you, Trustee Toon. Trustee Yegus?
I think another way we can go about looking at this is that the ex officio does not have any, they're sitting there to observe. They can be asked questions in that, or they can, but they don't vote. And they're just there to observe. So maybe if for like this one, I think it's sort of important that the chair knows what's going on with this, because they're the one who's going to be speaking about it. And it's pretty hard to speak about something you don't know anything about. So even getting it secondhand. So maybe when we do this, because it is an ad hoc, it's not put into policy, but maybe we could add on that they're there only as an observer, period. No voting, nothing else.
Trustee Toon?
I think that it also becomes a cost efficiency, being fiscally responsible. I don't think we need that many people, so I'd revert back to a previous statement that either we reduce it to just 2 trustees and we can make those appointments at a future meeting, or we remove the chair as ex officio.
Thank you, Trustee Toon. Is there anyone who wants to make an amendment at this time? Yep. Trustee Hodges?
I don't want to make an amendment, but maybe a notice of motion that this is going to come to the next board meeting, and so that we can have a discussion around it.
Okay, is everyone comfortable with that? Okay, perfect. So we will have a notice of motion from Trustee Hodges, bringing this to our board meeting on December 14th.
Yeah, if that's appropriate.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you for that. We will now move to E7, external committees. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve Trustee Toon to run for ASBA Rural Caucus Executive. This is being moved by Trustee Yagos. Would you like to speak to it?
Yes, the rural, having somebody from the board on the executive of the rural caucus is important. We are rural. We don't have any major or big cities or urban areas within our area, and therefore I think it's really important that we have a member sitting on the executive. And I know they're looking for members, and I really applaud Trustee Toon for letting his name stand.
Thank you, Trustee Yagos. Trustee Toon?
Thank you. I appreciate the nomination from Trustee Yegus, and for sitting on this for the last few years. Your leadership has really helped bring issue to all the rural challenges that we face here in the province. I think it's now important more than ever for us to be a part of these groups where we can find solutions to similar problems across the province.
Thank you, Trustee Toon. Is there any more discussion around this? No? Then I'll call the question. All in favor? Passed. Thank you so much, Trustee Toon, for being willing to put your name forward. Yep, Mr. Perry?
Just as a matter, I wonder whether the question was called on the previous motion. I know that there's a notice of motion for the next board meeting, and I assumed that that was the component of changing the one area, but I don't think the question was called in regards to making the changes to the committee, so I just want to.
It was not called.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a notice of motion just regarding that one piece then? Okay. That was my misunderstanding. So I'm sorry, I'll go back to E6, the Committee of the Boards, that the Board of Trustees approve the changes to the 2021-2022 Committee of the Board list as presented, knowing that there will be a notice of motion coming forward at the December 14th meeting to address the ad hoc committee with the JT Foster piece. So is there any other conversation around that? No? Okay, all in favor? Thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Perry, for that point of order. Perfect. Okay, so we will now take a 5-minute break and then be back for our discussion items at, come on, 2:20. Thank you.
I'll enjoy it and feel a